I would like you to give a quick introduction to your to everyone here in the session.
Okay, fair enough. So Nikhil, can you enable the video? I think my video is disabled. I think the audience would like to see if you can enable the video. Okay. So hello friends, I would be hosting your session. I'll be the panelist for today's session, and it's been quite a while since I've interacted. I see quite a few names that I've already come across. So what I'll do is give you a little brief about myself, what I did in my past, and what led to the current situation where I am in right now. So I have been a techie personally for quite a while. I've been in IT for a long time, and I used to work on Java-related technologies, mostly focused to capital markets, but I also work for insurance and securities. During my tenure in capital markets, I really loved the technology. I really loved the things that I had been doing. But something that always went missing was the business side of the story. I felt like I'm missing out on the business or the entire picture. I'm not seeing the end goal of what I'm doing. So that's what led me to believe that maybe an MBA can help me figure out this solution. And while doing MBA, I realized that we as techies are actually not seeing the bigger picture. And MBA really gives you that good feel that, okay, this is what I'm doing. Enable yourself. Okay, sorry for that. Now, once in my MBA, once I was done with my MBA, what I realized was it's high time that I actually start putting my technology and my business knowledge into work, and that's where I went ahead with this company that helped Andhra Pradesh government set up its first smart city. And with that, I got a fair exposure to large-scale systems that use machine learning and deep learning to kind of solve real-world problems. And that was one of my biggest learnings. But what I also found out that there was a quite big chunk of population who actually are not even exposed to these things. And there are people who even don't understand the value of these things. That's where I actually took up a proactive measure that maybe this is the time I should kind of get into the tech education field and help people upskill in this front. So that's how my tech education journey started. There's a second startup that I'm working with, and we all found this startup Insaid to help people in India kind of upskill themselves into, and not necessarily in India, we have people participating across the world to help themselves upskill in this space. So that would be a basic idea about what I've done. I've done my MBA from India, Indian School of Business. I've worked for a lot of good clients like Morgan Stanley, Wells Fargo, IFDS, Andhra Pradesh government being one of the biggest client that I have worked for personally, because that is like an entire government. It's an entire state level government that we really worked with. So it was a beautiful experience. So what do you, Vikas?
Well, glad that Suchit that you are part of Insaid and you have started this whole thing. And what we'll do is that today I'll try to probe as many questions as I can from the user's point of view, and we'll try to keep these things as conversational as possible. At the same time, we'd want you to elaborate on all friends which are required for each category. So
Okay.
first and foremost, that we'll get started with what is the space about, what is data science, where is this heading towards, etc.
Okay, so what I see here is a lot of people posting their own questions, and I think these questions are more or less consolidated into one place. So let's focus on the slides, and any other further questions, I'll take it up at the end. So let's start with what exactly is data science. A lot of people are new to this field. They have heard this term, but they're not sure what this term is all about. So let me just put it up in a very nice and structured way. What does the word data science imply? What does this field mean? Now, if you just even Google out data science, the first thing that'll come to you, or the first image that will strike you, is the image that I'm trying to draw now. So you'll see an image which looks somewhat like this. So there are three circles, three overlapping circles, and at the center of which lies data science. Now, what does the other three circle mean? So the center is data science. I understand it's an overlap between three fields. So what are the three fields that are overlapping to form data science? The first one is business. Now, every company, whatever work they are doing, they all are focused at solving a business problem. So whatever business problem you're trying to solve using data science, you should have the idea about what exactly is the business problem. So to understand business is one of the legs in the data science journey. The second leg would be computation. So computer programming, I would call it as computer programming. Now, what is computer programming? Just like all of us, a lot of us have actually worked on Excel sheet. Now, when we work on Excel sheet, what are we trying to achieve? We are trying to solve a certain problem by using some mechanisms provided by Excel sheet. So something like if you want to find the salary of an employee, what do? You add up all the columns like basic pay, HRA, DNS allowance, and dot, 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 a lot many more with TDS calculations and other things. And then you land up on the salary of the employee. Now, this is what Excel gives you as a platform. Excel gives you as a product, it gives you this solution where you can kind of write your own formulas and come up with your answer. Similarly, in data science, you can write the entire logic by yourself and tell the computer, this is how I want to solve the problem. For that, we need programming language. Now, when you're using a programming language as opposed to using a ready-made tool, you need to know how to use the language. Just like you learned how to use Excel sheet, same goes for programming language, that you need to know how to use a programming language. Now, the first thing that might strike to all of you when you hear the word programming language, you might think that, okay, does this mean I have to be a computer engineer? Does it mean I have to be a software engineer? So that is where a big time pain point was there present in the world, where people always thought programming to be only a software developer's job. Okay. But look at today's world. If you see Excel sheet, is it limited to IT people? Are only people who have studied computer engineering, do you think it is only limited to them? I really don't see it so. So what we see here is an evolvement of programming languages. So right now in today's world, languages such as Python and R, these languages have evolved over our day-to-day languages that we used to use back a decade back or 2 decades back. We used to use Java, C, C++, which was very complicated to learn, very complicated to use. In today's life, Python and R has made it really straightforward for people to implement their business logic using simple coding syntax. So anybody can actually pick up coding in no time. So the second leg is the computer programming, where you write the logic. So this is basically the logic of your program that you have to write in some language for the computer to understand. The last leg, which is very important, I would say, is called the maths leg. Now, by maths, the word data scientist and maths, the moment you try to equate these two words, the first thing that comes to your mind might be a Schrodinger's equation. You might think it's some random rocket science equation that you have to solve. Nothing like that. By maths, what I mean are basic statistics and probability, basic stats and probability that you already have covered to a great extent in college or school. Okay, so 11, 12, we all have studied probability, provided you've taken maths. Even if you have not taken, you have taken maths to a certain extent till 10, if I'm not wrong. And you have heard of these terms like statistics and probability. So these are the basic founding layers of data science, where maths and probability helps you understand your data. Now, how is my data distributed? So I have a company where I have a lot of employees. Now, how many are working for X department? How many are working for Y department? How many are working for Z department? If somebody's details are missing and they resemble X department, how do I replace any particular value for that employee so that it fits into the X department? So all of these ideas are given by maths. Maths will tell you how to interpret the data such that the computer gives you a nice, brilliant way of understanding the data. So maths, business logic, business and computer programming, these three forms the foundation of data science. So data science is a multidisciplinary field where you got to understand business, you got to understand maths, and you got to understand programming. So these are the three things that you got to understand to become masters in data science. But again, the question rises, how many all-rounders do you have in a team? So suppose you take an example of cricket team. Do you think Indian cricket team has all 11 players who are all-rounders? They all know everything? That's never going to happen. So in today's world, data science is not a single person's job, it's a team game. And in the team game, you might have people who are good in business and maths, people who are good in maths and programming, people who are good in business and programming. So it's a cumulative effect. It's a contribution from different people having at least two of the three knowledge in their kitty. So either you are good at programming and business, or good at business and maths, or good at programming and maths. So be good in at least two, and the third one can come naturally as you progress in this field. Okay. So can we move to the next question, Nikhil? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Good.
Yeah, you're done with this, Suchit?
Yeah. Good. Yeah.
Yeah. So before we get into the career aspect, what is the future? Where are we headed towards in context of India? If you can share some light on this, that will be a good overall conclusion for that. What is data science and why is it important? How this field is evolving, etc.
Okay. So I think this is actually a very important question from the Indian perspective, definitely. Now, I'll come to Indian perspective before I show you the global perspective. So what happens in say in the West a few years back, okay, is what precipitates into the East a few years later. So IT took off in the West. Slowly, things started moving towards the eastern side, and countries like India, China, Philippines, they started taking up IT work. What was implemented in the West 5 years back is being implemented today. Okay, this is how it has been for IT all throughout its life cycle. Now, data science is a concept that is pretty popular in the West for the last 5 to 7 years, if I'm not wrong. So around 5 to 7 years, data science has been existent in the West, and quite a few people have been working in data science for quite some time in the West. Slowly, India and other Eastern countries have started accepting the space of data science pretty heavily. Now, China has moved very far. So we all understand China has moved really far, but India is catching up. So India has a lot of growth potential. India has a huge scope that is still to be filled. I mean, there are lack of people, there's lack of knowledge, there's lack of applications. So one more important thing is what works in the US does not always need to work in India. So if you're using some solution in the US, don't think you can just pick up that solution and put it in India and it'll work. You need data scientists to work on this separately, keeping Indian context in mind. Very important. You have to think it in terms of the Indian context. So India, if you see currently, we are in a very good position where the graph of data science is only headed this way. It's only going to grow exponentially, and a lot of opportunities are opening up. I've heard people complaining that big companies don't hire data science, but trust me, from my experience, I've seen a lot of opportunities, be it from HCL, be it from Wipro, be it from Tech Mahindra, be it from any company, any big company back here in India. All of them have started accepting a lot of data science positions. And if you all of you have attended the session that we had with Reliance Jio AI chief, Dr. Shailesh Kumar, he himself said that we are just starting off, and with the kind of opportunities that India present, the entire focus of the world of data science is going to shift very soon to India. So India has a huge potential. If anybody of you is interested in this field, make sure you are all pumped up to get into it as soon as possible. Yeah, so can we move to the next one?
Yeah, so Suchit, as just you have mentioned that all the tech giants and companies are recruiting in these for these roles and all. So what do you think? Who are eligible for these roles? Because the crowd we have today is everyone from 2 years of experience ranging to 10 years, 15 years and different backgrounds. So who are actually eligible for these roles? Who can get into these roles?
Excellent. So I think this is also a very nice follow-up question for the previous one. So I only took names of few tech companies, but to be very honest, even non-tech companies have started looking into the space of data science. Especially, I told you I work for government. Governments have actually opened up their ideas to smart city, and smart cities obviously need data science to work properly. So you see, it can be from any vertical. It could be from domain. It would be from any domain, any technology, any company. Everybody needs data science to prosper. Now, who are eligible for these roles? So let's kind of try to break this down into a smaller aspect and see how do we classify people who belong to these roles. So the first things first, if you look at the world of data science, we'll split it into say 2-3 parts. The first part is the data collection. So first part is data collection, second part is data processing, and third part is automation, which is machine learning. Let's say machine learning. Now, first things first, what data you need to collect? Who tells you this idea? What is the data that you need to collect? So do we have access for chat for our participants?
Suchit, it's open.
It's open, right? So all of you can type it in the chat window and help me understand who decides what is the right data that I need to collect for my business problem. So who in the company is knowledgeable enough to match your strategy to the data that needs to be collected? So this usually comes from the business people, business or domain people. Okay. Now, from a business or domain aspect, okay, they can give you a good idea about how does the problem relate back to the data that I need to collect this to solve this problem, the data I need to solve this problem. Now, these are not only limited to the problem statement, they can also go beyond problem statement and think through how I can use this data in future to automate my work. So that is why a little knowledge of data science clubbed with a massive knowledge of business is what we need people here for. These are not the coders. These wouldn't be the coders in this space, but at least they understand data science. Because only if you think in data science perspective, can you know how to automate your business in future? So the knowledge that these people should exhibit is that of the business as well as the data science space. So you should know what is going on in the data science space. You should know the different topics in data science. This will give you the brief idea as to how do you collect the data, the right data. Getting the right data is very important in any business. If you get the wrong data, you are screwed from step one. But if you know what is the right data, you can obviously solve bigger problems for your company. Next, if you look at the second step, this is for the data processing part. So this is for the folks who, this data processing and analytics. So I'll come to what is analytics. So this is meant for the people who are mildly good in the business part, but majorly good at understanding the data using maths and programming. Okay, so this forms the layer where people are not great in business, but they are sufficiently knowledgeable enough to use maths and programming to interpret your data better. Okay, so here comes the analysis part, where you have people who will analyze your data and help understand what has been happening with the company, what are the possible things in the near future, what does my company data explain about the company's performance or the project's performance or the situation whichever you are analyzing. So this is more about the analysis part. So this is where a lot of jobs are there, which is you would have heard about something called as data analyst or business analyst. Okay, and this is more about a domain expert come a business analyst. So these are overlapping fields. So these are all overlapping fields. Wherever you can fit in, that's where you should always approach your future in. Okay, so a lot of people are very good, experienced folks. They are very good in the domain aspect. You have the power of business in your kitty. All you have to expand is the power of a little programming and maybe a little bit of maths. Okay, understand how these two can fit into the business picture and help you in the long run. This is more applicable for people who already are like mildly working on tools that actually help you analyze the data, something like Tableau or something like Power BI. Okay, so for you, you can analyze the data very good, but you should know the concepts that you need to analyze the data. So a little important would be maths and programming, to some extent programming. So if you're doing it through Tableau, you don't need too much of programming, but if you are doing it in Python, so you might want to try out programming. And the last part is for the hardcore engineers who kind of want to build a career in the machine learning space. You've got to code day in, day out. You got to figure out how is your data leading back to the solution? How is the data? How can we make the process all the more optimized to improve our output process? Okay, so these are all the three verticals that I see plenty of job openings, and more or less, if you see from your experience perspective, if you are somebody who's closely associated with business, you can fall into the very first part, which is the entire strategy space of data science. The second part, which is the analytics space, where you analyze your data. This is where almost a major chunk of people would fall, the analytics space. And then the last part is the space where you are a hardcore person who really loves you love coding and you are all in for coding. You want to kind of improve your coding day in, day out, improve your models day in, day out. So this is meant for that category. So you got to take a call whether you want to end up being a machine learning engineer where programming is your heart and soul. You want to be at somewhere in between where you analyze. So analyze is a combination of business and programming. Or you want to just be the domain expert, but you also have a flavor of data science. So you be the domain expert in this side. Okay, so these are the three very high level overview of the roles that are possible in data science. You can break these roles further. You can have data engineer who only deals with data, handling the data, collecting the data into tables, and that is also meant for coders. You can be a business, what do you call it? We call it business intelligence person, where you build reports. So you are doing reporting around the data, and there are tons of such opportunities and options. What I would recommend all of you is just go to LinkedIn and just search for the word data analyst or data scientist, okay, or business analyst. Search for these three terms and you yourself will be surprised at the amount of scope and opportunities that exist in today's world. Okay, so Vikas, let's move to the next one.
So Suchit, now that we know who are eligible, what kind of roles are there, and what's in this space and all, and there are several articles which are speculating that there is an average salary hike of 36%, and the number of positions are growing at a rate of 400%. Many reports and articles around the space. I would want you to share some light that at a growing rate of number of jobs, why are these roles are such highly paid roles, and how important are these roles for any particular organization?
Okay, this is a pretty interesting question. Let's put it this way. Every technology has a growth curve. This is where very few people participate in the technology. Slowly the technology starts growing. Then there's a huge growth, and then it stays flat for some time. Okay, and then it declines massively. Okay, so we are in the early stages. This is a life cycle of any job, okay, or any role or any particular technology. We are in the very early stages. Very few people are knowledgeable enough to participate in this, but the requirements are growing steadily. So we are somewhere here. You see, there's a steep growth. The growth is pretty steep in this place. So we are growing very steep, but we don't have people to fill up the gap. So it's a problem with supply and demand. The demand is growing, but my supply is very less. And what happens eventually? The salaries become very high because I'm not getting good people. And obviously, companies would be willing to pay higher salaries to get good people on board. Now think of Java. Java is a language that has been in the space for quite some time, but maybe 15, 20 years back, not many companies were into Java. Slowly they started accepting Java, but then there were resource crunch. And that's where they were very willing to pay high for Java developers. But look at today's world. In today's world, how many people are really interested in paying super high for Java? Okay, so that is one thing that you also need to understand. Now, does this only justify that somebody expects an X salary once you get into a data science role? There's no one salary. Right now, we are in a good phase where the need for data science is growing, but supply is less. So there's a supply demand gap, and that is why the salaries are pretty high. But at the same time, you should also understand if the company is willing to pay a high salary to you, you also need to exhibit the knowledge. You also need to exhibit that you're capable enough to match that salary. A company does not pay salaries out of its own pocket. If it pays you X amount, it expects you to give at least somewhere around 5X amount to the company. This is the money that the company has to extract from you to pay the salary of X. Okay, and this is just a rough number. It could be even more for services and less for products. So if you see this equation that you get X salary and the company is making 5X out of you, that's where it really matches. So when you are getting a good salary in the current situation where the supply and demand are not matching, and that's why there are tons of people who are getting a lot of money, you also need to justify. Okay, you also need to justify that money. If you can't justify that money, what happens? The company will eventually either is get rid of you. So be very practical about this idea. The explaining the salary bit is always controversial. Okay, I can quote you a number. I can say the average salary is 6.8 lakhs per annum for data scientist. But my point is about whom am I speaking? Is average a reflective salary of everybody? Definitely not. So average of 0 to 5 years could be around 6.8 lakhs. Okay. But even I know people who are in this space doing data analysis for 2 lakhs and in this space doing deep learning for 40 lakhs. Okay. With the same experience, you see, what is the difference? 2 lakhs to 40 lakhs. That's huge. But not many people are here. There are quite a few people here. Slowly it is growing. And as and when this grows, the salary gaps will start reducing. So what I would like make all of you kind of understand here is, as and when data science space grows exponentially, please make sure you are there in the right place before time. If you land up in data science when everybody knows data science and you want to participate in data science, you have already lost the ride. The ride has gone. Okay. It's somewhere the companies have too many resources. They want to kind of get people for cheap. Okay, so average salaries, though it is much higher than your counterparts in regular programming, so somewhere around 30% more than your counterparts who are doing, say, QA or support or development in old languages like, say COBOL or Java or C. To a great extent, you can demand above 30% of their salary. That is like norm. That is how companies are paying right now. Yeah, Vikas.
I come to one of the most popular question, and I think that everybody in this session today have this doubt somewhere or the other in mind that I come from Java background. We keep hearing people saying that I come from .NET, I come from ETL, I'm an ETL developer, I'm a system architect. How can I transition is something we'll discuss, but where do I fit into this cycle is what I've observed, that people are always curious that how do I get a transition being a Java developer, or say from a sales background, totally non-IT, or from testing background. So can you share some light on this?
Okay. So let's put this question in the reverse order. Any project requires a set of skills and a set of people with those skills. Okay, so every project requires a set of skills and a set of people who have that skills. In data science, more or less everything stays the same. For a project, you need, say, a program manager. Okay, a program manager. Underneath, you have 3-4 project managers. Underneath that, you have teams, okay, and team leads and their teams. So this is how usually a project is spread out. Okay. And like other projects, data science projects also exhibit the same criteria. The only difference being in data science, top to bottom, everybody is aware of data science. How do you use data science? Okay. The only difference is top to bottom, everybody should be able to address why something is happening in your project using data science and what is the output. So in such case, people coming from really senior backgrounds are the people who are leading the vision of company to transition to data science. A lot of companies in today's world, especially, I mean, if you have actually been working with clients who are not big time clients, something like Novartis and Boeing, if you're working with very small clients, something could be like say Indian Railways initially when it started. How much problem do you think TCS might have faced regarding the collection of data, regarding centralization of the entire system? So back then, say 15 years back, think of IRCTC and think of IRCTC today. They needed a vision to move from a simple ticketing system to a data-backed company, a data-backed company. How many of you have realized that IRCTC is giving a lot of features like track your train, prediction of if tickets are available or not? Have you guys heard of these things? So they have become data-backed company after so many years. The point is we need people at that level, that vision level, that senior level who understand these problems and the pain points. They can direct a company to a particular solution that will help the company become a data science enabled company. So these are meant for the senior folks who can really come up with vision for the company to become a data-backed company. Moving to the next level, the project managers. Now, unlike IT, where project managers are more into resource management, more into kind of tracking of what is being delivered and not being delivered, data science differs a little bit here. In this case, the data science project management stands out to be a little different because data science is more about a scientist's job. And if you think back at a scientist's job, what does a scientist do? A scientist does research. So you cannot put a fixed timeline on a research. So balancing between the time required to do the research and the time required to deliver the solution, this is where a project manager in data science space comes in. To understand that balance, the project manager himself or herself should be knowledgeable enough to understand what is data science. So we need managers with data science knowledge for two purposes. One, senior folks giving vision, and two, senior folks tracking the project. Tracking if you are in line with the company's motto, vision, and output. Are they all in line? So this is how you would need senior folks there. Now coming to the technical part, the bottom part. In the bottom part, there are two places for people. One, where you are looking at analytics, analyzing if your system is working as per expectation, and you're looking at automation. This part, analytics part, is equally likely for non-programmers, preferably for non-programmers as well as programmers. You can do it using tools, you can do it using programming. So you can use Tableau or Power BI, and here you can use Python. So the same output can be done in two approaches, one by coding out in Python, or you can use tools like Power BI and Tableau to come up with your analytics reports. The other side is the automation, where it is all about programming and extreme programming to kind of come up with really awesome output for your business, wherein you can automate things. You can kind of build products around this automation. So something like face recognition. Facebook has a face recognition. It sees all the faces and puts a square box around it and asks you to tag the name. And once it has sufficient knowledge, it can actually highlight somebody's face and tell what is the name of this person. So this is more about the programmer's journey. The right side would be the programmer's journey and the left side would be a combination of programmer and non-programmer. So a lot of people actually fit into this space, the analytics space. So analytics is one growing field in this entire domain. So if you look at data science, analytics is a hugely popular field right now in Indian IT market. So more or less for the senior folks, You are setting the data science vision, the data vision for the company. So senior folks having good knowledge of data science can actually prepare the future of the company, and a lot of companies need it right now. Many companies in India have no idea about data. They are not even collecting data. That's the saddest part of this entire journey. That a lot of companies have no respect for data in today's life. Why is Google, Amazon, Microsoft, why are these companies so powerful? If you see, the only common thing among all the three companies is they are all data-backed companies. So slowly, every company has to move to a data-backed economy. And once you are a data-backed company, you would realize the true potential of the space. Okay, so that's why the senior folks are there. And then to implement it, we would always need leads, we would always need developers, we would always need analysts. So these are the prominent openings. So whatever background you come in from, just try to understand. If I'm a senior person, you're not going to start your life as a fresher. You already belong to this field because you have the domain expertise, you have the vision expertise. So you can provide the data science expertise for this company and understand how can data science improve the company from X to 10X. Same goes for project managers. You need to understand that this is not a simple calculation that these many man hours and I'm getting the job done. No, here you have to understand how does data science contribute back into the project. It's a research, so it needs some time on its own. How do I fit in? How do I balance that gap? So these are the basic concepts that one needs to keep in mind. And finally, analysts and programmers, you have plethora of openings. I mean, the highest openings would be for analysts by far, and tons of openings opening up right now in this space. Plenty of opportunities. Companies are expanding left, right, center. So this would be the answer for whatever background. I've seen a lot of questions like this, that I come from so-and-so background. Where do I fit in? It's not too different from what happens in your regular projects, just that here the knowledge of data science is very important for you to come back to the same question, that where do I fit in? So you put in the data science knowledge and then you can appropriately map your skills to the actual data science world. Yes, Vikas.
So Suchit, now that we got some clarity about this, that we, irrespective of background, we can actually take part in this and start our data science journey started. I have the second most popular question, and in the chat window also similar questions have started popping up. That will I be considered as a fresher if I start or transition into data science?
Excellent. Okay. For this question, I'll ask a simple counter question. A person who's 25 years experience and he has some data science knowledge, will a company treat him as a fresher and give 2.5 lakh salary? Yeah. So my question to all of you, a person with 25 years experience and has knowledge of data science, do you expect this person to be paid 2.5 salary like a fresher would have been paid? The answer is very simple. I mean, it's very obvious. Data science was not even there. I mean, not companies used, very few companies actually knew about data science back then, and they used to use it. Nobody on this planet right now has even, say, 10 years of data science expertise. Okay. If I'm speaking of the most common companies, I'm not speaking about the PhDs or the Googles and the whatever companies you might be thinking of. Data science, machine learning, these are hardly 5 to 7 years concepts. These have been only popular of late. So if somebody says, I am 25 years experience in data science, I'm pretty sure he's not 25 years experience, but he carries the value of 25 years experienced person. So whatever experience you have, it's a knowledge. A knowledge is never wasted. You are expert in domain by now, or you're expert in some tool by now, or you're expert in some client condition right now, client problem right now, you carry some value. Along with that, I'm clubbing up data science to measure your actual value. So if you come and say that I am 20 years and if I learn data science, will I be treated as a fresher? Just think back. Does it make sense for me to pay 22.5 lakhs to a 25-year-old person who's knowledgeable in data science? Because data science is just one skill. A data scientist doesn't need only just one skill as in the knowledge of data science. You should also have other skills like the business knowledge, the domain knowledge, the knowledge of convincing customers, the knowledge of strategizing the company's work, the knowledge of speaking to customers, convincing them, getting that project on board, telling your company what needs to be done next down the line. So your experience is never lost. Your experience is very valuable. It's very expensive. No company will value you as a fresher. Okay, so data science is an add-on skill to your profile. You won't be treated as a fresher. Just make sure at your level, if you call yourself as a data science architect, okay, if you call yourself as a data science architect, justify it. Okay, just don't put it up because you have 15 years Java architect. I will justify that I'm a data science architect. Justify it if you can. If not, take a step down and start building all over again. Because IT or any field is all about learning and unlearning and relearning. So I call it like learning, unlearning, and relearning. LUR. So this framework is applicable for everyone. You learn something, you use it for some time. Once it goes outdated, you unlearn that thing, relearn something new, and build a profile in that. And that's how IT works. So if you have seen people who have joined IT 30 years back and they have grown steadily in their careers, that's because back then IT wasn't so vast. In today's life, IT has become exponentially big. So you have to be smart enough that I won't stick to only one thing forever. Whatever I do, I will be quick enough to unlearn and relearn. So this is something that I want all of you to carry, because I've seen a lot of people with this question. Shall I be considered as a fresher? No. Nobody is considered as a fresher. If you already have experience, your experience matters. And that is something that will help the company solve bigger problems. Yes, Vikas.
Well, Suchit, on that note, that well, there is so much said about this space, and we have researched. I'm sure everybody in the session would have researched so much, but there is always this confusion when we usually speak to people, that what should be the starting point, how to get started into data science, where should I learn, or what should I learn for that matter?
Okay, I think this is a very important question, and why I call it important is more or less all of you being in this session has proven the point that you are already, say, one step already into this field. All of you have done your initial prelim state of understanding what data science is and what it is by participating in this session. Now, participating in this session has given you some brief idea, if not the entire space. You might have got some brief idea, which is a little more than your current knowledge, that this is how the space works out. Likewise, what I would recommend is, this space is very exciting, but what people really miss out is their own research. So start with a simple research that what is data science? How does data science work for my domain? Okay. How does data science solve your domain problem? So you might be from telecom, you might be from agriculture, you might be from weather, you might be from finance, you might be from healthcare. So whatever background you're coming in from, just try to read around and Google it out. How does data science fit into this picture? If it really interests you, go ahead and see how is data science comprised of, what are the study metrics that I need to kind of study, or what is the way in which I need to study data science so that I can start solving my problems for my domain. I can start working on these lines. Okay. And then finally, once you're convinced, then you start building it practically. So start building it. A lot of people stop here. Okay, I will study a little bit about data science and then I'll just lift up my hands. What is the point of knowledge if you don't implement it? So final thing is building it. Okay, so these are the 4 steps. 1, research about the field of data science, because this is a very broad domain. 2, understand how it helps your domain. Okay, understand how it helps your project, your business, your customer, your domain. Okay, your kind of business. See how it helps. 3, once you're aware of how it helps, start learning how to use data science and how to kind of work out the same solutions that people have done for your domain. How do I recreate it? And 4, do it practically. So here you're learning. So here it is the learning phase and here it is the implementation phase. So all of you are more or less here right now. You being present in this very session explains that you all are interested in data science. You want to know about data science, and that's why we all are here. So you are right there in your first leg. That's good. But now what? Now take the second leg, research a little further as to how these things are solving real world problems. Once you really appreciate it, you really find it really interesting and want to get into it, you don't want to kind of waste any further time, just start doing it. And to do it, there's a sequence of steps. So how do we do it? That we can come later on towards the end. But right now, let me just give it to you at a very high level. Know what are the steps. And finally, once you know how do you go about learning data science, what you need to do is build it. Start building applications. Building applications is something that will take you places. If you just learn something, mug it up and leave it, nobody will care for you. But if you learn it, implement it, and tell people that this is what I have done, there'll be tons of people who will appreciate your hard work. Yes, Vikas.
Well, Suchit, for this particular question, I would take more. I would be be as an attendee too. That whether it is an entire IT corridor in Hyderabad or Bangalore or Pune, we see the tools and technologies being written all over. Today they say Hadoop, tomorrow they say Spark. There is Python, R, and the list is never ending. So, what actually are required to learn, and how many of these things are required to learn?
Okay. Yeah. So if I were to answer this question, I would definitely say that there was a time when we used to use something called as a, what do you call it, cassette player or Walkman. I hope a lot of you have used Walkman, and considering Walkman was quite an old technology, I think a lot of you might not even seen it. So Walkman was a concept where we used to carry cassettes and huge bulky tape players in our pockets to kind of listen to music. And then we moved on to the next idea, which was an MP3 player, which was slightly better than the Walkman because this was a little smaller and it used to carry a lot many more songs. And then whatnot. So many improvements have happened, and today nobody even cares about something called a Walkman or an iPod, because more or less you are listening to songs that are on your mobile, and mobile has become the all-in-one device. Your mobile is your all-in-one device. Going by the same concept, tools will keep evolving. What theoretically doesn't change, the idea is the concept of listening to music. Listening to music is the entire concept. The tools have evolved over a period. So in today's life, we might hear of tons of such tools and techniques, okay? But what will remain constant is the concept. So please focus on the concept. Tools you can learn in no time, techniques you can learn in no time, but concept is where people falter. Now, to learn these concepts, you should have a dedicated effort, but also you need to implement it. So you need some tools. So what I'll cover right now is, if you want to get started in this field, what are the basic tools that one needs to ensure? To learn data science at a scratch level, I would request only for two tools, okay? One is Tableau and the second is Anaconda. Okay, one is Tableau and the second one is Anaconda. These are the only two tools that I would recommend when you're starting off your career in this space. The reason being very simple. For non-programmers, you understand how Python coding and other things work using Anaconda, but if you're still not convinced and you want to stick to only data analytics, you might go for reporting. Okay, so reporting using Tableau. It's a nice tool, a very powerful tool, and it has actually stayed in this field for the longest period because this tool is very robust. Going to the other side of programming, if you are interested in programming and you want to learn data science, you need to implement coding in Python. Now, Python is a programming language that needs an environment to operate out of. So for a lot of people, it might be a little difficult initially to kind of build their own environments. So what I suggest is always start with Python, which is a nice way of writing Python code on a platform called as Jupyter Notebook. Jupyter Notebook, once you start using, you will realize why the world's leading organizations and big data scientists actually use Jupyter Notebook. Okay, a lot of companies, if you go through, I mean, if you have somebody in Netflix, you can ask them, how does Netflix operate? Most of their coding is still on Jupyter Notebook. Okay, and you can kind of automate your work using Jupyter Notebook to a greater extent once you get into the advanced phases. So when you're starting off in this space, what you need to keep in mind is which side are you going to land up. But to know which side you're going to land up, please get your hands dirty on both the sides. So first you start with regular Python coding, see how easy it is to code in Python. Once you get a good feel about it, then you move on to Tableau and see it is all the more easier to do it. Okay. So giving this hands-on experience, I mean, getting this hands-on experience, getting a hand dirty in this field is very important. Try out these two tools if you have to start your experience in data science. So in Anaconda, especially use Jupyter Notebook. This is what we are more focused around. And when it comes to analytics, try to build nice dashboards using Tableau. Okay. So yes, Vikas.
Suchit, so from there, we'd want to map it to our end objective that we learn these things, no doubt. And you've also shared that some light on how to actually get started, where to get started. But mapping these to our end objective, which roles currently and how to target those roles, given that, for example, somebody in the audience or people we speak with usually, they have 2 years of experience. There are people with 5 years of experience, 10 years, 15 years, and there is a diverse crowd which is coming and trying to get into this industry. So how should one target the right role and the right company? What should be a successful a path for this?
Okay. Now, this is something that I can draw an analogy with when somebody is going to buy a car. So Vikas, which car would you like to buy? So let me ask you the question. So which car do you think you want to buy?
If it is thinking, then definitely Bentley.
Okay. Now, thinking and buying is very different, right?
Yeah.
So are you in the state to buy a Bentley is the question.
Currently, no.
Currently, no. So the question is very simple. What skills do you hold? To what skills does the role demand? You got to study this gap. You got to study if your skills and your knowledge, okay, matches the requirement for that particular role, you are fit for the role. Now, how do you even go ahead and decide which roles to look into? So let me break it down for all of you. I'll break it into 3 tiers. So this is the highest tier where the experience is the highest. Okay, so the highest experience tier. At this level, if you know data science, I'm not expected or I don't expect you to code. But what I really expect you to know is how can data science solve the problem for a certain company? Are you thinking at that level? So suppose you are an experienced person in the field of finance, and over the years you have seen a lot of big problems that companies are facing, and you have reached to a point where your company needs suggestion from you that how do I use data science to solve my current problems. Now, with such huge amount of experience under your belt, you should be the right person to suggest what is the right way out for the company. You should be able to tell that why don't we start collecting, say, data of their past transactions, okay, along with the other cards that they have been using. Can I match these data points? Once you can match these data points, can I build a new product which will recommend this customer what exactly offers we can give to the customer? Are you in that state to figure out this extra strategy for your company where your company can either save money or make money? So this is for the experienced folks. Look out for senior level management roles in data science, especially ones which are aimed at strategizing, helping customers. Okay, so it could be a engagement manager kind of role. It could be the role of a strategist. It could be the role of, say, a business development person. Okay, so it could be any of these roles that you are looking for. Now, coming to the next level, because I don't expect people to code here, neither does the company. Coming to the next level, let's look at the next level where I have a good combination of techie and non-techie. So program managers, project managers, whatnot. If you are experienced enough, you can always move to the next block. But if you're not, what I would suggest is for the techies, you definitely have to get into the architectural space. Start off with regular machine learning and deep learning knowledge. since you are already into technical architecture space, you can easily move on to the machine learning and deep learning architecture space, because it's again the architecture of Python frameworks that's what you have to master. Rest all stuffs remain the same. The logic of multi-threading, the logic of parallel systems, the logic of containerization, the logic of creating different pods, everything remains the same. Okay, but the only thing that changes, maybe you want to learn a Python framework that will help you assist in that. Dockerization, virtualization, whatever you need to do, everything remains same. So from a technical perspective, not too much of a change. Okay, but from a non-technical perspective, here you have to find a right balance between programming and management. So you should be knowledgeable enough so that people in your team, since it's a research job, a lot of people might end up saying that it might take 10 days. But is 10 days a valid answer for your project? So for that, you should be knowledgeable enough in the programming space to some extent. You don't have to be great programmers, but at least know what is going on in data science. And finally, you should also be able to match it to your business requirement. So you are the management. I can't say the customer that you wait for 100 years and then I'll give you a solution. So you should be the person who's finding the right balance. You should drive the team, the data science team, and tell them what needs to be done properly. So again, here you have the data science manager roles. Data science manager roles, and here I would say the data science architect or senior data scientists. So you have these roles for techies, and these roles would be for the non-techies, data management. Finally, the last leg, which is for the say the non-programmers, the programmers, and the QA. I would club QA and non-programmers together. So let's put it up as non-programmers and programmers. In fact, a lot of QA also fall under programmers because they do automation using programming. So the point is very simple. If you already know programming, build a future in machine learning and deep learning, because this is where every company is going to be in next 2 to 3 years. Every company would seek out solutions in this space, but somebody has to implement or customize it for the company's data. Every company has a different kind of data, and you should be knowledgeable enough to customize it for that particular data. So technical knowledge is very important for people who want to aspire the machine learning and deep learning space. And for the non-programmers, the field that you guys can really prosper is the analytics space. Now, analytics also boils down somewhere down the line, it'll boil down to programming, but you may not always need programming because there are tools also which help you achieve these things. But knowing how to program will get you to a space where you will be the preferred person as opposed to the ones who are not knowledgeable in programming, because programming helps you customize everything. If you're using a tool, you have to abide the tool rules. But if you know programming, you can figure out your own ways of solving the problem. So to a great extent, you can stick to Tableau, okay? But I would say if you want to get into real analytics, in the future, try to build a little knowledge of programming, because you don't have to be massively expert in programming. A little knowledge of programming will get you through. You need to know what are the different kinds of analytics that I want to do. Something like fraud analytics, something like supply chain analytics, something like your tracking analytics, something like your digital marketing analytics. Now these are all sub domains. Okay, but to come to this place, you should be knowledgeable enough, at least in data science, to actually dig deeper into each of these analytical fields. So this is what all of you should keep in mind, that there are ample roles for every position in the company, but where the companies go wrong is when they fail to understand who is eligible for whom, for which position. And equally, the applicants go wrong because they fail to understand, I want a Bentley, but am I made out for a Bentley, or do I have the capability to take a Bentley right now? If not, where do I start? So match yourself to the place where your skills match. Okay, and this is a small breakdown of how skills can be matched. So keep this handy. I know it's pretty dirty, and I hope all of you are taking notes. Keep this handy, else you can watch the recording again. You can go through this explanation once more, where I have told you how do you match your skills to the right roles in a company. Okay, so Vikas, yes.
Suchit, and before we open the floor for the Q&A, One last question, and I feel that of all questions, this is ideally the most important question. That what is the correct approach? Though there cannot be only single approach, but what is that ideal learning path with which one should take to successfully move ahead into this field? Yeah.
Okay, this is quite an important question. So I think that's what I did not explain in the previous slide, previous slide, where I was explaining how do you learn data science. So the correct approach for transitioning into a data science role, the first thing is choosing the right path of action. I've seen people who choose 10 different actions and land up nowhere. So if I have to reach from point A to point B, what is the optimal way to reach point A to point B? From point A to point B, what is the optimal route? A straight line would be the optimal route. But the challenge in real world is a lot of people are not aware of what is the straight line. So what happens is they start off somewhere, they go to some direction, from there they read something else, they go to some other direction, from there they read something else, they go to some other direction, go to some other direction. You might eventually land up. I'm not saying you will never land up. I'm saying you might eventually land up at B. But what is the problem here? The problem is you're going all over the world to go to your next door neighbor's house. So if you want to go to your neighbor's house and then you travel all over the world, that's not the most optimal way to do it. So what I would recommend is, please look into the Insaid website. We have laid down the first stepping stone for you, which is your curriculum. So go through the curriculum. This curriculum has been made after discussing with experts, PhDs, a lot of practical people who are working in this field, okay, a lot of senior folks who have actually gone through this entire journey, and they have helped others go through this entire journey multiple times. So they have designed this curriculum. They have helped us understand what is the right path, what is the right approach to build your knowledge in a space where you do practical data science and not theoretical data science. So if you want to learn practical data science, follow this path. It's the most optimal path. Follow the Insaid curriculum. We have provided sufficient knowledge for you to understand what is the right path. Second, once you are in the path, you got to take a conscious call. Am I a person who can learn it by myself? So I can learn by myself, or I need guidance? So are you a person who can learn by yourself, or you need guidance? If you're somebody who knows how to learn by yourself, follow the curriculum, learn those topics, and you'll get through. But if you think you're not the right person who can do it by yourself, you need guidance, you need people around you to motivate you, to kind of see what others are doing and learn from them and become equally good, if not better. If that is something that you feel that I would need I need people around me to get into this space, then go for a guided upskill program. Okay, so this is one important thing. And the other thing is know the right path. So step one, the right curriculum, and step two, decide, are you meant for self-learning or are you meant for a guided learning? If you know your guided learning, you can always approach us and we are there to help you. If you're somebody who can learn by yourself, please feel free to do a self-learning by looking up what are the topics that one needs to know, and then go ahead and study those topics by yourself. Okay, so what I'll do is, I think I have been speaking for a lot of time. Let's kind of take the questions. So, Vikas, do we have any further questions? Okay, no. Yeah, good. So let's open it up for all of you so that all of you can come up with your own questions, and I'll try to address them one by one. Friends, I would request you to not copy paste your questions. I'll take all the questions, but do not copy paste. Give everybody a chance. We'll take everybody's help. And I will not answer the ones which I've already answered. Like, I come from X background. So Akash, I already spoke about this. Now, if you want to get into, okay. Now there are few questions regarding what is AI, what is ML, and what is big data. So let's put it in a short way. Okay, I'll just put it up in a short way. First things first, I'll discuss about big data. Why? Because this is more of a technical question. This is more of a technical field. This is meant for techies and people who want to kind of work with collection of large scale data. Collection of large scale data. It's like, can I do 1.5 million rows in Excel sheet, friends? So I think a lot of you have used Excel sheet. Can I have 1.5 million rows of Excel data? Have you ever tried opening 1.5 million rows of Excel data, or do we at all can we fit in 1.5 million rows of Excel data? Has anybody tried it? So feel free to use the chat box. Just type me in your answers that yeah, it works or it doesn't work. So Mickey says it doesn't work. Okay. Anil says no. Because first of all, the answer is very simple. Excel doesn't allow beyond 1 million rows of data. Now, 1 million rows of data, if you are capturing real-time data, I mean, 1 million will get over in no time. Okay, so in today's world, look at your mobile phone. Every second, so much data is being captured. Google is capturing your GPS data. WhatsApp is capturing your chat data. With so many possibilities of the amount of data that we are collecting in today's world, 1 million is not a big number. And Excel fails after 1 million. It does not allow you. That's why we upgrade to the next system, which is programming, where we use Python. Okay. Now Python will give you support to a great extent. I think this is where most of the people's requirement is sufficed. Most, as in 99% people's requirement will be sufficed. But maybe after that, you need more and more data, and you need to process even bigger data. That's where big data comes into play. So the concepts are already learned. The concepts are already learned. The way you do it in Excel, the way you do it in Python is all going to be the same, the way you do it in big data, just that how you do it will change. So this is a technical change. And that's where big data comes into play. People used to break their head on Hadoop quite some time back. They were like crazy about Hadoop. But today's world, nobody cares about Hadoop, because Hadoop and admin has gone all into cloud. Cloud is services that these big companies are providing you, ready-made architecture infrastructure, ready-made support. You no longer worry about Hadoop or even the admin part of Hadoop. What really matters in today's life is something called as Spark. Spark is a platform that will let you access big data ecosystem where a lot of data is there. It'll let you access them parallelly and process them. So Spark gives you that platform. So this is all about big data that I want to do. I want to limit myself for today's discussion. If you are a techie, you are interested in large scale data handling, go for big data. But still, I would say a lot of companies are not yet in that phase where they would really love to deal with big data. Most of the regular business problems can be solved with regular Python and machine learning. Now, coming to the next question, what is analytics? What is machine learning? And what is AI? This is also a common question that I often get. What is analytics? What is machine learning? And what is AI? Now, before I answer the other two, let me start from the center. Let me first answer what is machine learning. So I hope all of you have used Amazon. All of you have used Amazon, and you have obviously, while shopping, you might have seen that below the item that you're looking for, there's one more list of suggestions. We call it recommendation. That people who have bought this have also bought so and so. And I'm pretty sure all of you have seen this part. Okay, it's called as recommendation. What happens here is, do you think some human is passing you the recommendation? It's not possible. No human can sit and tell every shopper that this is what I would recommend you. Why? Because at a time, millions of people are shopping from Amazon. Millions of people are shopping for billions of things on Amazon. Okay, they all are searching for different things, and for everything you can't sit and keep typing answers that with this, I would recommend you to buy this. Something that happens when we go to a big bazaar or some other store where we are looking out for clothing, they recommend that, sir, why don't you buy with the white shirt? Why don't you buy the black pant? So that's a recommendation in real life. But on an online platform like Amazon, I really can't expect humans to sit behind and recommend me things. So I need to automate these things. And that's why machine learning comes into the play. So machine learning will tell you all the recommendations, okay? And you, when you're shopping, whatever you're buying, along with this, you actually end up buying the recommended items also. Because why do I say so strongly? Because 35% of sales for Amazon is actually through recommendation itself. Now the point is, who guarantees me that the machine is working properly? Who is guaranteeing me that the machine is working properly? So somebody has to evaluate it. Somebody has to constantly look at the history data and analyze, are things going in the right way? When you're buying a mobile phone, are you also buying a mobile cover? So growth in mobile phone sales should also show growth in mobile phone cover sales. Who does this? This is being done by the analyst. Okay, so the analyst's job is to analyze the data and see if the company is headed in the right way. One can be done before you apply machine learning, and one can be done after you apply machine learning. So before applying machine learning, you learn that when the sales of phones grow, the sales of covers also grow. From this, your team gets an idea. The data scientists, machine learning engineers build a recommendation engine. From this, again, you send it back to the analyst to evaluate that, is my recommendation engine working properly? Is my business growing every day? So that is where analysts, there are quite a few openings for analysts in different spaces. So analytical jobs are very important for almost every company. I have not seen any company where analytical jobs are not given value. So analytics actually happens to be one of the most important in this field and the most required people in the field. The last one is called as AI. Now, AI is an extension of multiple fields. So AI is an extension of multiple fields, but something that comes from machine learning is deep learning. And from deep learning, we can head to AI. Now, deep learning, just think it of as an advanced concept of machine learning, which is more hardcore way of solving complex data. And AI is basically a place where we want to reach, but we have not reached, where the machines take over all the jobs of humans, where the machine take over the work by themselves. You don't need human guidance. You don't need analysts to understand is the machine doing properly or not. The machine will know itself that it is doing the work properly or not. One very raw and crude example of AI engines could be a self-driving car. A self-driving car by itself is learning how to improve. Okay, it is going on a road. Okay, the moment it gets an obstruction, okay, what it does, it takes the roundabout way. So if you are this X, which is the self-driving car, and then suddenly there's a man in front, the car learns that, no, I can't go straight. I have to go roundabout and then cross the man and come back to my optimal path again. There's no human intervention in this place. There's no humans doing the analytics. There's no humans creating a recommendation engine. There's no human who's doing XYZ item. The machine is learning by itself and solving the problem. That is what AI is, but nobody has reached true AI, which is going to take us ages to reach there. Okay, so that is where AI is, but we are in the very nascent phases of analytics and machine learning and deep learning to a great extent. That's where the companies can benefit out of. I can have theories on PhDs on AI, but if you can't solve real world problems using these theories and PhDs, they are of no use to real world companies. Okay, so these are the three things that I wanted all of you to know, that the space which is practically being used right now is more on analytics and machine learning in today's world. Deep learning is slowly catching up. A lot of companies are actually looking forward to deep learning, and it's the advanced form of machine learning. I'll take the next question. Please do, okay. So, okay, I don't take it too offensive if you're not kind of creating a problem to others' learning. So Rakesh says that I read a survey article by Stack Overflow where they say the highest number of people who are currently looking for a job change are data scientists. Why is this so? And please answer this. Yeah, I'll definitely answer this. Let's put it up this way. We are seeing a sudden surge in requirement. And whenever the requirement is high, what is natural? People start claiming themselves to be data scientists. And that is why we have so many data scientists who are applying. What is wrong between these people and me asking for the right data scientists? What is the difference? The people who are applying and the ones which I am kind of explaining. What are the difference between this person, person one, and person two? Person two is impersonating. Person two has not got the formal knowledge and is impersonating himself or herself to be a data scientist. And person one, what I recommend people to be the person who understands the space good. Don't impersonate and try to get a job, because even if you get into that job by mistake, you will fall out of it in no time. So impersonating does not help too long for you to go far in your career. Okay, so be careful, and that is why you have too many applicants which are wrong. Okay, these applicants either they don't get selected or they get rejected in the interviews, and that's why if too many applicants where the salaries would have been very low. So let's put it this way: you have too many data entry operators. What is the salary of data entry operators? 10,000 per month. because there are too many applicants for it. Okay, and they actually qualify for the job. But data science, too many applications who do not qualify for the job. So that is why you have this difference. And they are giving good salaries because you know that the right persons are not easily available. If you have been in data warehousing, Informatica for some time, what you should really look forward is having a technical knowledge is good, but since you are limited to SQL, PL SQL, you got to expose yourself to programming, grow in that space, and look for data science in terms of machine learning. You start small. What I always recommend people is start small. Don't jump to the last leg directly. A lot of people are confused. What do they want to do with, or where do they want to start with? They start thinking, okay, let's do AI. Now, AI is a journey in itself. AI is a journey which has multiple steps that you have to cover before you reach AI. So what I always recommend people is look at something like a CDF. So we have a CDF course, okay, or GCD AI course, which is meant for people who want to stick to data science or AI. Now, if you are interested in AI, look at a smaller course. This is a 6-month small course where you get all the overviews of AI and you don't dig too deep. This is very good for people who are in the higher experience. This is very good again for the people in the higher experience who want to limit to analytics, want to limit to data science and to some extent in analytics. For them, this 3-month course is very important. You get a flavor of what is data science. You get a flavor of what is analytics. Okay. So this is what really helps you as a layman. You start off small. Once you capture this idea, once you're happy with this idea and you know that this is good and it's going pretty good, I want to move to the next one. Go for the GCD course, the entire course. And in this case, go for the GCD AI course. Okay. This is GCAI and 6 months, and GCD AI is the 11 months course. Now, GCD AI is meant for you to build a sufficient enough knowledge to kind of apply for jobs in this field. GCD is a sufficient enough knowledge to apply in machine learning. There's machine learning and there's AI. Okay, so both of them have their own values. A lot of Indian companies are still stuck up in this space, but a lot of startups are coming up in this space. So which is that you want to land up in? That is also a major influencing factor. So start small. What I always recommend people start small and eventually grow into the space step by step. If you start thinking that I will learn deep learning first and then I will do other things, what will happen is you have lost out on the basics of the concepts. So follow a structured path. That is where people succeed. It's just a simple plan. That's it. If you want to choose ML, what technology should I choose? Machine learning requires Python, but if you're getting into deep learning, Krish, or AI, you would want to look into TensorFlow, Keras, which is having high scope in the market. Both are having quite a lot of scope, especially because both of them are expanding rapidly. Machine learning is expanding for a lot of startups as well as traditional companies. Deep learning is especially expanding in startups. Efficient both technical from company point of view. Okay. So learning machine learning and deep learning, what I would request you, Krish, is just go through the brochure in our website. You will get the difference between what are the topics that machine learning covers and what are the topics that deep learning covers. Small companies will not be able to afford big data and other expensive stuff as we have Python and R free software. Why should we go for paid ones? So Mickey, more or less, not every company can afford big tools. And as you said, small companies will not be able to afford. True. And they won't even afford it. They won't even try to afford it. What they'll rather do is they will use open source tools like say Python and R. But for big data, they need an ecosystem. So what they'll do is they'll not buy their own servers. They will use cloud infrastructure. It is cheaper. So now the point is in today's world, companies have ways of solving problems. So most of the companies stick to Python and R for their regular data work, and very few companies who are dealing with enormous data, they move on to cloud to solve the big data issue. Do we need to complete any certification on data science? Certification completion is important, okay, from the perspective that you have completed. From the company's perspective, they receive thousands of people who show XYZ certification, and certifications don't hold great value if you can't show what you have done practically. So doing things practically is more important than getting a certification. A certification is just a validation of the topics that you have learned. That's it. If a lot of you have this perception that can I do XYZ certification and I get a job, you never get a job because you have done XYZ certification. It just gives you some prominence that yes, this person has done these jobs, these topics. But to get into the job, you should be capable enough to kind of show what you have actually implemented, what you have done practically. I have good knowledge on Tableau, Oracle. Tableau knowledge required. Yes, you need, see, if you have to get into analytics, if you want to be reporting, especially in the reporting side, if you're really interested in the reporting side of the story, which is also extended into analytics, you have to know a tool like Tableau. Okay, either you code it out or you use a tool Tableau. It is often easier to code out. It is often easier to use Tableau. It depends situation to situation. If you need highly customized diagrams which are not there in Tableau, you would need to code it out. But if Tableau gives you a provision to draw those diagrams, you really don't need to code it out. Okay, so it depends from perspective what kind of data output you are expecting. If it is too much customized, use coding. If it is less customized, use Tableau. From a database administrator perspective, what I would always repeat is if you are in administration or support activities, what you have to let go is it's high time that you realize end of the day, data science projects or any projects in future will not need too many administrators. So the job of administrators is declining massively. Think about what has happened after cloud has come in. Previously, companies used to hire many people for maintaining their servers, for maintaining their internet network, everything. I mean, for everything, they used to hire a lot of people. Today, with the advent of cloud, I don't see many companies really investing in admin jobs. So it's high time that you realize that admin jobs are not the future jobs. So you got to upskill yourself, move to the next jobs, get into analytics first. If analytics is helpful, if it is really appreciative to you, go to the next phase where you learn machine learning. If you like machine learning, if coding is strong enough, move on to deep learning. If you love it, go ahead and create a career in AI. So at the very basic level, you can start off with analytics. That is what I would recommend a lot of you. Power BI will have scope in analytics. Yes, Power BI does have sufficient scope. And there are quite a few questions. I think it's not going to end anytime soon. Let me just try to cover as many as possible. Uh, yeah. So at times when you are in analytics and you want to become master, I mean, if you want to become an expert in analytics and you limit yourself to one tool, say Tableau, and say, this is all I can do in analytics space. Think from the company's perspective. They know you are not growing. They know that you're not doing anything extra to support yourself in this knowledgeable field. So don't restrict yourself today. If you're doing only analytics, don't restrict yourself to only using one tool. Try to see how you can improve over it. Try to see how you can do the same thing by coding it out. Okay, so it's very important for one to kind of expand the horizons. Don't limit to one thing. IT is never going to be limited to one thing. It is always going to expand and it'll keep expanding. Recording, you'll get it on the YouTube very soon. And if you missed the last week's sessions, it's there in YouTube. Okay, I see a lot of AI ML heads in the company as doctors and statisticians. That's true to a great extent, but an MBA would also be fit in for that role, Kedar, if you're worried if MBAs can get into that role. An MBA has a more better picture when it comes to the business problem. A doctor or statistician is more on the academic side of the story, but when it comes to actual business side of the story, an MBA would be a better fit in this role. Right now, since companies lack the confidence in MBAs or any other role, they go for PhDs only to learn that the best problem solvers in this space of data science are not PhDs. Okay, so if you dig into this space, you'll actually figure out a lot of companies have claimed that the best problem solvers were actually not PhDs in machine learning. They actually were the people who understand customers and business. So these were the successful people. Um, How much time will it take to become a data scientist or data architect? It's like asking me how much time will it take to build a building. Okay, so this is a common question that a lot of people ask, and it's a flawed question. So what I would say is, instead of asking me such a generic question, if you ask me how much time will it take me to become a knowledgeable data scientist in XYZ company where they do XYZ job. So if you can be specific about it, I can say this is the ideal time. Now it depends person to person basis, how quickly can you learn. What I can learn in 5 days, you might be able to learn in 2 days. So you might take 2 days, I might take 5 days. What I might take 5 days, you might take 15 days. So I can master that in 5 days, you can take it in 15 days. So you got to be aware of these things. So there's no one right answer for such questions. Always think more deeper. What do I want to do? And what is my capability to get there? As a fresher, you are in the best place, Rahul. If you are a fresher and you want to start a career in data science, you are right there at the top. Go ahead and do an internship. Learn the subject first and apply for internships. Even for experienced folks, you can always go ahead and apply for internships. There's no harm in doing internships. See, so have a look out for companies who are giving part-time internships. See if you can contribute back to these companies and learn from them. I'm struggling to select good coaching. Okay. Sainath, what I would recommend is go through their website, see what they are doing, go through Quora and see what are the reviews. Go through their content. Very important. Just look at the depth of coverage of topics. That itself will give you a very good idea what exactly a company is doing. If a company knows what it is doing, it will have a very nice, thorough explanation of the things that it is going to do in this entire curriculum. So go to the curriculum, go to the website, go to the community, go to the details on Quora, see what people have recommended, see what they are saying. Very important. How to convince employers after gaining the skills to hire a person for data science role for those who have really less experience with software development IT. Okay. So Vasu, what I would recommend is first you learn it and you create your own private personal projects. And these personal projects need not always be like, okay, this is my hello world program in data science. It could be actual business problem. I have built a recommender system for an e-commerce company. I have built a fraud detection for a finance data. And you have tons of places where you can get these data and build your own solutions for these and explain that this is what you've done in this entire sequence. If you can justify that, people are more than happy to accept you. Okay, so there's no, it's all about how much effort you are giving in to kind of prove your worth. I read one article that so many are leaving the jobs just because clients do get satisfied with the output. In reality, do or do not. To what extent this is true? First of all, data scientists leaving their job is good for you because then you have more openings and opportunities. Clients getting satisfied with the output is a rare case. And if somebody says, I'm satisfied with the output, then that person is not doing business. In a business, you never are satisfied. You always have to grow. You always have to show better outputs. This is not business. This is a straight line. This is business where it's always growing. Okay, so I don't think the place where you refer to, they are speaking of what you are thinking. They might be referring to something else. So every business needs to grow. Everywhere you have to improve your business every day. And to improve your business every day, you have to improve your data, your analysis of data, and your output of data. That's how everything grows every day. Okay. So deep learning consists of two parts. Deep learning has two parts, computer vision and NLP. Go through the curriculum. This is more for the folks who come from technical background, coding background. Go ahead and check out the curriculum. This is if you really like understanding textual data, go for NLP. If you really like understanding images or videos, go for computer vision, or you can go for both. A lot of people do both. What data science can do other than analysis, and Hadoop Spark also does the same, right? No. So Hadoop and Spark is more of a processing engine. Okay, Hadoop is a storage engine and MapReduce is the processing engine. Spark is giving you the entire thing in one place, and Spark is more of a processing engine. The analysis part is not taught when you learn Spark. You learn Spark to use the tool which is Spark. But how do you analyze the data is what data science teaches you. The science behind the data is what data science is all about. Using tools has a separate learning. Just the way you learn how to use Excel sheet, or how to use a pivoting in Excel sheet, or how to use the VLOOKUP in Excel sheet, but that doesn't teach you the concept behind it. The concept you already had to learn it from somewhere else. I need to map two tables based on some particular column, and that's why I did a VLOOKUP. Knowing that concept is what data science is, and knowing VLOOKUP is like using Excel sheet or using Spark. For a database administration, okay, I told you administration is quite difficult right now. How difficult is to do AI and ML program in C++? Not too much of support in C++. Library is very rare. They lack severely. That is why Python is the most popular because of that. But if you are already, Kumar, if you're already in C++, you'll really find Python a cakewalk. It would be like a language that kids are using for you. It's going to be that easy for you. Image processing concepts needs to be done, as I've seen lots of projects comprising of image processing. Yes, computer vision is what you are referring to. You should learn computer vision, and that's also a part of our deep learning course where you learn how computer vision is used to understand images or videos using deep learning. Life science has a huge application of data science. Shashi, what I would request you is go ahead and research a little bit around life science applications, data science applications in life science, and you would be shocked to see the depth of coverage that life sciences has when it comes to DA's case studies, data science case studies. Life science is way too into data science in today's world. What are the difference between AI that's covered? Any website or web that will simple examples to do simple examples. So Krish, you might want to just Google it out. There are tons of websites out there. So there's no one single website which will give you all the ideas in the simplest fashion, but start it from one website and slowly start gathering more knowledge. And that's how you can kind of figure out bigger things. So Rahul, if you are a founder of this company, what you can do is you might want to seek out consultation from some data scientist and first show what is your business doing, what are your customers like. You might want to also show him the data that you're capturing and request that person to help you plan out the next phase of data science implementation for your company. So the maturity level is also important for the consultant to know. What is the maturity level of your company? If I can know that, then maybe I can answer it here. But if not, you would ideally want to seek out a consultation first, because that what you're asking here is a very deep question. Is Kaggle good enough place to start hands-on? Kaggle is, I would say, at level 3. Start with level 1 where you first learn Python. If you're already there, go to level 2 where you understand the data science concepts. If you're already there, go to level 3, which is Python, which is Kaggle, sorry. Depending on, okay, I'll take, I think I would need to cut down on the questions. I think last 2 questions that I'll take, because is that all right? Because I've crossed the timeline massively.
But last 2 questions.
Yeah, I'll just take the last 2. I'm sorry for extending it so far. So, okay. I don't have industry experience, but I'm interested in data science career. But as a faculty, I know data science concepts within the syllabus level. Good. So Vikrant, a lot of people have this challenge that they lack industry exposure. But lacking industry exposure makes it all the more better for you, because now your mind is fresh. You're open to new ideas, new concepts. So pick up one particular sector, one that really is pretty close to you. Okay. If you understand finance, pick up finance. If you understand healthcare, pick up healthcare. Pick up one sector, look at what are the problems in that sector, pick up one of the problems and try to solve that problem. Slowly, you will start appreciating the value of these topics in these real world aspects. So since you don't have industry experience, that doesn't stop you from gaining one. Okay. So you do not only get industry experience by getting your hands dirty, you can also study about it and get your hands dirty. Okay, and which one do I choose last? Oh, RPA is, I don't even consider RPA as anything close to AI. RPA is just a whim. It's just a whim. A lot of companies have made tons of money. It's not at all machine learning. It's not at all AI. Even if you are in RPA right now, make sure you move on to machine learning and AI very soon. Don't stick to RPA for long. It's not going to last very long. What sort of path do I need to choose currently working as Azure infrastructure architect and looking for transition to DS and analytics space? Venugopal, you are in a very good place because you have access to Azure infrastructure. You have already seen different components in Azure. Azure gives you ready-made tools. A lot in today's world, a lot of non-programmers are getting a lot of value add by using ready-made tools such as the ones provided by the cloud platforms. How many of you have heard about ML Studio in Azure? And I expect you would have already heard about it since you are an Azure architect. So if you are an Azure architect and you have heard of something called as ML Studio, this is one of the very nice ways of applying machine learning, Venugopal. You can apply machine learning without even learning too much about coding. Okay, it's a drag and drop tool. Drag and drop tool. You drag and drop, you link them, and your tool is ready. So since you already have a cloud background, why don't you expose yourselves to the other facilities that these cloud platforms are giving? Start building machine learning solutions for the platforms such as ML Studio. There's one more machine learning gallery or something. You have Power BI on Azure. So there's so many opportunities and scopes. Okay, but you need to learn the DS concepts, absolutely. And that is where I told you, follow the curriculum. The curriculum is a journey. It's a journey which tells you what is that you should know one, what is that you should know two, what is that you should know three. So look into the curriculum, see if you have these knowledge that is required, and then start doing it here. If you don't have the knowledge, go for a small program first. Go for a 3-month course on, say, CDF and understand what is happening in this space. If you're comfortable that, yes, this is what I already know, go for the bigger one, the GCD one. Learn all the topics and see how can I apply it back in ML Studio. And this is how you can build your career. You have to take it step by step. Okay, so the idea is very simple. The way you have completed your education and schooling, apply the same idea in your current upskill also. When you're upskilling, you follow the same idea. It's no rocket science, it's no different. Okay, so thank you for all your participation. I'm sorry, I think I need to terminate the session now. I've exceeded by a massive time, but don't worry, you can always reach us. We give you free evaluation of your profile. We'll understand what your profiles are. We'll help you sort out where you fit in. Just drop us a mail or give us a call, or even you can just drop us a message. We'll give you a call back. We are more than happy to assist you in this journey. All you have to do is let us know that I am interested. This is my background. Could you please guide me? We'll also do a free profile evaluation. We'll listen to you. What is your background? We'll understand your background and where you fit in. We'll give you the guidance accordingly. So feel free to connect us at admissions@insaid.co. Visit our website, www.insaid.co. Register so that you keep getting updates as to what are the next sessions that we are going to conduct. And finally, feel free to reach out to Madhur or anybody in our team. We have the number put up here, 9354228181. Just feel free to get your profile evaluated. So don't restrict yourself. You have taken step one. Don't stop yourself from learning how to go about in this entire space, because this is a space which is a little daunting for a lot of people. It's a little confusing, but that's because lack of knowledge in the market. Not many people are openly discussing these points, and that is where we actively want everybody to kind of open up to this space. There's no harm in getting knowledge. Okay, so feel free to connect us. We are more than happy to help you, and we are there to help you. Okay, so thank you guys. Vikas, thank you for hosting me, and I'm pretty glad that I could answer a few of the toughest questions, which I would personally say I have faced till date. But no harm, as long as people can learn from this, I'll be more than happy to answer 100 such questions every day. So thanks a lot for your time, Vikas, and thank you a lot, everybody.
For joining us for this 1.5 hour and sharing insights all the way from basics to depth and what should be an ideal path for one to successfully transition. And at the same time, thank you. You guys are amazing. You have been patient and while listening out to us all throughout the session. We'll be doing many more such sessions up ahead. And as Suchit said, any query, anything specific you have that you need to get clarified, just reach us out at admissions@insaid.co, or you can reach directly Madhur at the following coordinates. Yeah. Thank you so much, Suchit.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Vikas. Thank you, friends. And keep participating, keep enjoying this space. Thanks a lot.